Hello, everyone, and welcome to our September 8th All In for Kansas Kids bi-weekly webinar. I am Debbie Deere, and I'm going to be your host today, along with my colleagues Bria Cudney and Hannah McGahey. And we all work for the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund and are part of this webinar planning team. Today's agenda will consist of general updates that we like to share with you on opportunities that are available, a relief funding update from Michelle Allen at DCF, and during our program segment today, we will be hearing a presentation from the Kansas State Department of Education on funding opportunities through the ESSER, which stands for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Grants. To get us started on our general updates, the Kansas Can Success Tour, sponsored by the Kansas Department of Education, is in its final week of a 50-city tour event. And so Kansas Commissioner of Education, Dr. Randy Watson, will be wrapping up this tour with some scheduled stops throughout Northeast Kansas this week. And as he has been doing, he will continue to facilitate community conversations to gather feedback on the state's vision for K-12 education. And so since July 26th, this tour has been happening, and over 3,500 community conversations have taken place during this summer tour. So if you are interested in seeing the final week's list of tour dates and locations, you can visit Kansas Can Success Tour. The 2021 Virtual Home Visiting Conference registration is now open. I believe it opened a couple of weeks ago. This is taking place in the afternoons on September 27th and 28th, and it's an opportunity to learn about the home visiting system in Kansas. So attendees will receive a certificate of attendance, and more information is going to come about the total contact hours that will be available for the home visiting service providers. And so you can visit this website to register and for any additional details about the conference that you might like to know. Another virtual training opportunity is also being offered. A free series of 5 interactive modules is being sponsored by Greenbush and is designed to help connect families to resources and services that promote the healthy development of children ages 0 through 5. And a nice perk about this opportunity is that you can receive up to $125 in stipends. So $25 is available at the end of each module that you complete. And so the modules are listed here. It's a very good list to choose from if something catches your interest. And if you need more information or have questions, you can contact Barbara Ganaway, who is the Greenbush Family Community Engagement and Early Learning Consultant, and also visit this link for registration and details. The September upcoming Friday Night Live events for direct service providers and support service providers are listed here. We have one at the end of this week and then also another one in mid-October. And these are continued to be sponsored by Casito, and they do offer KDHE clock hours. And so you can go to their homepage and visit that for more information as well. And these webinars are continuing to provide updates for you on the early childhood recommendations panel work. And these meetings are going to be, are always on the third Friday of every month in the mornings from 9 to 11:30. And the next meeting is scheduled for next week on Friday, September 17th. You can watch these meetings live on YouTube on the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund website. So you can go to the link here and you can go to About, click on the Early Childhood Recommendations panel, and then go to Meetings. And so you can join those meetings live, or all of them are also recorded if you want to go back and watch them at a later time. And we want to get this information to you on a regular basis because the panel always welcomes individuals and organizations to share your thoughts and concerns, either in written or verbal form. And so every meeting has a Kansans Open Forum comment section, and you can submit comments to me by the day before the meetings at 5 p.m. And so I will put my contact information in the chat. And then you can also go to the same link that I mentioned before, go to the recommendations panel, go to the rules, norms, and procedures to learn how to submit your comments. And so we want to help your voices, or we want to hear your voices, because they help make decisions that move early childhood forward in Kansas. The September meeting, as I mentioned, is next Friday, and it's going to include a feedback session from Links to Quality, as well as the continuation of the discussions from the 3 work groups that started in August and that focus on childcare recruitment and retention, family partnerships, and quality in environments. So I now want to welcome Michelle Allen from DCF to join in and to share some updates on the pandemic relief funding.
Good afternoon, everyone. So just one quick update that we have with CCDF pandemic relief. Just want to share that on September 1st, we began waiving the cost for comprehensive background checks and licensing fees for new providers as well as existing providers. And I just want to, so the process is exactly the same. You're going to go to the KDHE portal and do all of the things that are required as a provider typically would. However, the costs associated with those background checks and licensing fees are now being waived, and we're reimbursing KDHE for those costs. However, if you've already paid for these in the months between when the pandemic started and getting your sustainability grants, this is an allowable cost to reimburse yourself for. So if you still have those receipts, that is something that you can tap into those sustainability grants to reimburse yourself for those. If that is something that maybe you became a new provider in kind of the midst of all of this, we're working to gather some information and hope to have something out there in about the next month to share around that. So more information to come, but just wanted to highlight this one really exciting opportunity to hopefully get all of our providers who already existed into compliance, and then also hopefully to help us build some capacity through new providers. So I'll put my email in the chat if anyone has any questions, thoughts that they would like to send to me. Again, this is our areas of focus moving forward. So that direct family support through expanded childcare assistance opportunities, provider support, specifically sustainability grants. More information to come on those. Links to quality, also working to gather some information on that to share workforce supports, and then also general infrastructure supports. So again, I'll drop my email in the chat if anyone has any questions, thoughts, concerns. I'd love to chat. So just let me know if I can help anyone out. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And I can speak as a former provider before working for the Children's Cabinet that reimbursement is going to be very, very helpful, because those were some expensive costs that providers had to pay. And so this is going to be very, very helpful moving forward. So that's great news. I think we're now ready to move into the program part of our webinar today. And I want to welcome Dean Zitz and his team from the Kansas Department of Education, and they will be sharing out information on the ESSER 3 grants. So welcome, Dean.
Welcome. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. And as I am sharing my screen, yes, so I am joined today with Amanda Peterson and Kathy Kirstenbrock Ostermeyer. We are absolutely collaborators, though we do work on different teams, and in the case of Kathy, even very different parts of the state. But we're all a team. We're here for early childhood, and so I will let them introduce themselves when we get to their piece. But I'm going to I'll start by just kind of introducing myself and sharing a little bit about the education relief funds that the state of Kansas has received. So first of all, can I get a thumbs up if you all are seeing the PowerPoint presentation? Perfect, thank you. So again, my name is Dean Zitz, and kudos for pronouncing that right. It is Z-A-J-I-C, so it is not easy for my 5-year-old twins to spell their own last name. Poor little humans. But I am the state and federal programs coordinator here at the Kansas Department of Education. And one of the many things that I help oversee is many of our federal funds, including the educational relief funds. And specifically the elementary and secondary school emergency relief, ESSER, which is part of all these different COVID relief packages that Congress has passed, but it is different and distinct than some of the other relief funds that you may be a little more familiar with in your work, such as the CCDF and some of these other pots of money. But we're going to talk a little bit today about where there's some opportunities for how these funds, which are they're targeted towards elementary and secondary schools, but they can be utilized in a way that serves the larger education ecosystem, including early childhood. So let's see if I can advance that slide. Oh, just a moment. There we go. All right. So I'm going to give kind of the abbreviated version of the update today, just because we do have a fair amount to cover. First, just the 30-second background of ESSER funds, because when we talk about these ESSER funds, we're really talking about several pots of money that have been made available by Congress since last year. And the slide that you're looking at now really breaks down those three major pots. And the first one, ESSER 1, what we now call ESSER 1, was released in March of 2020 and provided approximately $85 million in direct support to Kansas school districts, with an additional $8 million that was specifically earmarked for special education services that tie back to COVID. And in all cases, this is funding that must be used to help address needs tied to COVID-19, although we'll talk a little bit more in a second about how broad that can be. ESSER 2 was part of what is known as the CARISA the COVID Relief Act that was passed at the very tail end of December 2020. And the Kansas portion of this was approximately $370 million. And for a little context, if you know anything about some of the federal funding in Kansas for different educational programs like IDEA, special education, or Title I, the ESEA programs, those programs each run about $100 million per year to school districts. So, funding education in a state, you're always going to have really big numbers. But for context, this is still a significant one-time investment in education. And then finally, we have ESSER 3, which was made available in March of this year, 2021, and which school districts are only now starting to be able to actually work on and articulate the plans for these funds. This is an additional $830 million investment in Kansas education. And we're going to spend more time here in a moment talking about that pot of money in particular on my end. And then I did want to also include what was known as EANS 1 and EANS 2. This is the emergency aid to non-public schools. This is additional funding that was made available by Congress as part of the CARISA in December of 2020, and then ARP, the American Rescue Plan, in March of 2021. And those are funds that were specific to supporting non-public elementary and secondary schools. So we do want to include that there just because it is part of the conversation, but it's not something we're going to be diving into today. All right, so let's try that again. So what can those funds be used for? And I am not going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to fly through this pretty fast, but you'll notice that I stick QR codes on most of my slides. Snap a picture of it. It'll take you to a PDF that does a much better job of explaining very succinctly what I'm going to cover pretty fast. There, see, Kathy's doing it. She is modeling good behavior. Excellent. And I do try to do this throughout my portion of the presentation with slides and links. But in the quick and dirty of what can you use ESSER funds for? Any activity authorized by the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, Adult Education Family Literacy, Carls-Perkins, McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Assistance. Anything that would be allowable under any of those big programs is allowable with these funds. The coordination of LEA preparedness in response to COVID is part of this, providing principals and school leaders with the resources necessary to address school needs. These are intentionally very broad categories and worded in ways that are intended to be very broad to give local districts and communities the flexibility to do what they need to do to support students. And I really want to emphasize this one, activities to address the unique needs of low-income children or students, children with disabilities, English learners, racial and ethnic minorities, students experiencing homelessness, and students in foster care. This is going to be something that I'll get into in a little bit more here, a little more detail with the plans for ESSER 3 here in a moment. Again, I'm going to speed up going through some of the rest of this, but developing and implementing procedures, training and professional development. This is something that particularly when we're talking about early childhood can be really, really important in terms of training staff for sanitation and minimizing the spread of infectious disease, as well as purchasing those supplies necessary to sanitize and clean facilities. And then we'll move forward a little bit faster here, purchasing educational technology. And this is talking about both the hardware and the software necessary to serve the students, including adaptive equipment. So, specialized equipment to, again, serve students who maybe have special needs. Providing mental health services and supports. Something we really like to call out here is that when we talk about providing mental health services and supports with ESSER funds, it doesn't say for students. This includes students and it includes staff, because taking care of the educators in a lot of ways is just as important as taking care of the students so that they can continue to provide quality services to the kiddos, and so that we continue to have a strong teaching staff even once this pandemic does eventually subside. Planning and implementing supports for summer learning and after-school services. Addressing learning loss among, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in a moment. School facility repairs and improvements, inspections and testing strategies, and really at the end, at the last one here, other activities that are necessary to maintain the operations and continuity of services, continuing to employ existing staff. So it's a broad net, and I kind of wanted to go over this first just to really quickly kind of set the stage of what's included with all of this. ESSER, okay, so at the top of my presentation, I talked about we have ESSER 1, 2, and 3. Because these are such large sums of money, and because it takes time for federal funds to actually go from being awarded to materializing into real world services and supports for students, and then actually be drawn down, and that whole long process. Because of all that, because of the length of time, we are just now getting to the ESSER 3, that largest pot of money that will be available to school districts until it's either gone or through September 30th of 2024. So again, through September 30th of 2024. So while this is a one-time investment, and you kind of have to plan accordingly when you're thinking about how you can use these funds, which is also one of the reasons why school districts, it's not that they don't need the money, but it's kind of boxes them in terms of how it can be utilized. But it does allow some flexibility in terms of stretching out the way it's spent down and utilized, and it does provide a little bit more flexibility so that while it is a one-time investment, it can be used to provide some strong investments that are going to yield long-term benefits, whether that's through professional development of staff, improving the facilities or purchasing equipment, that sort of thing. But for ESSER 3, there's a few things that are new. And in particular, while the other ESSER 1 and 2, they had to meet one of those allowable costs that I covered, ESSER 3 has an additional requirement that for 20% of those funds, 20% of that $800 million has to be used to provide evidence-based interventions, which has a very specific meaning that I'm going to cover in just a moment. And those evidence-based interventions need to be focused to address the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on student subgroups, including major racial and ethnic groups, children from low-income families, children with disabilities, English learners, by gender, migrant students, students experiencing homelessness, and children and youth in foster care. So what does it mean when I say evidence-based requirements? Again, I'm going to go, this is the quick version of it, but when we say evidence-based requirements, this has a very specific meaning in the law, and under federal law, this means that it is, in general, it is something that is actually supported by actual quantitative research as part of a study, or it's been part of a logic model that has been developed to, based on sound research, and then is monitored to see if the outcome that you intend actually manifests. And if not, hopefully you adjust accordingly. The other thing that is different about ESSER 3, and this part pertains to all ESSER 3 funds, this isn't just 20%, but this is one that I really hope that you pay attention to and hear, because it's probably one that's really going to impact this group. For ESSER 3, each and every school district before they can submit their SR3 plan, again, for over $800 million, they must meaningfully engage each and every one of these called out subgroups or groups that are actually called out in the law. This is not something where it's a single tick box to say, yeah, we spoke to, we tried to reach out, or we put something out for public comment on the website. This is a much higher level of engagement than we've ever seen in any sort of federal education program, and to the best of my knowledge, any state educational program. For each of these groups, the district is required to reach out and to meaningfully engage, and they then have to report back to us as part of their plan how they meaningfully engaged and the result of that engagement. Simply putting NA or we don't have any is not an option. In those cases, what we would expect to see is, what did you do to actually meaningfully reach out and try to identify those folks? Because we know that while sometimes it may be, sometimes that it takes effort on us, on our part as the adults to go out and get outside of our comfort zone and normal groups to reach out and hear these voices. It does not mean that as part of this meaningful engagement that they have to adopt all recommendations or even any recommendations, but they do have to give sincere, meaningful credence to anything that is provided. And so this is a place where, as you're working with your local school districts, because it is the school districts that will get the funds, there should be opportunities for you to provide meaningful feedback. Because again, ESSER funds, while it does go to elementary and secondary schools, includes early childhood and includes services that can support the broader community of education, including things like parents as teachers or other kinds of wraparound programs that can support students and their families as it ties back to education. Okay. And then to wrap up, before I pass it off to Amanda Peterson, who will then pass off to Kathy, I want to share a couple of timely resources that have recently been released by the U.S. Department of Education. Here again, I'd snap a picture of this one. This is a really good one. This only came out last week. And while it is not specific to early childhood, it does specifically address early childhood supports. So this is something that is being made available to, to anyone who will look at it, but primarily to school districts and to state educational agencies, and really does a nice job of providing concrete ideas and strategies to utilize this big one-time investment in ways that will pay long-term dividends. And again, it does call out some specific supports for early childhood. So another way for you to maybe familiarize yourself with kind of what's out there and maybe start some conversations with your local school districts. The other one that I want to flag, and this is very timely because it's tomorrow, although if you can't make it, I'm sure it's going to be recorded and you can go back and watch it later. But the U.S. Department of Education, in conjunction with CDC and other groups, is putting on a series of webinars, but this particular one is focused on supporting early learning. So here again, I would encourage you to check it out, even if you can't attend the actual session. And that is, notice that is Eastern time because it's from DC. So it's actually 2 to 3:15 our time. But there's actually a lot of resources and things too on this webpage that tie back to supporting early childhood and that interplay between the supports that are being made available to educational agencies like KSD, Kansas Department of Education, as well as the other funding that are being made available to the governors, the states, as well as organizations like DCF. So here again, really encourage you to check that out. And then finally, for my part, there's more coming. Finally, if you do have any questions for us here at the department, the Kansas Department of Education, You can always reach out to any of us and we'll make sure it gets to the right person. But in general, if you have questions related to the emergency relief funds, to email esser@ksde.org. In general, that's going to be the fastest way to get the most accurate answer. So with that, I am actually going to kick it over to Amanda. And actually, before I do, I should have said this at the top of the hour, although I think that that it was already said. Do please keep putting questions into the chat box, because we are here to respond to your needs, and so we love questions, and we do want to try to leave a little bit of time to talk as well. So, Amanda.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. It's great to see so many familiar faces. My name is Amanda Peterson. I'm the Director of Early Childhood here at the Kansas State Department of Education. And if you ever get to visit us in the Landon State Office Building, you'll see that our team is surrounded by the folks who have been doing just incredible work over the last 19 months or so to be able to understand and interpret all of these pieces of federal education funding and support schools. Dean, I was putting some questions or some resources and links in the chat bar. Thank you for the QR codes. And I do see a question from Scott. So I'm not sure if you'd like to address that in the chat bar. Thank you, Scott, for engaging. And everybody, please feel very welcome to continue. We would love for this to be a conversation. Dean, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and address that one. So, because Scott does ask if the ESSER funds can be used for IDA Part C network. So that's the infant toddler, birth through 2 years old. And the short answer is, the answer is yes. They can be used. And all of this, there's a lot of this where these are things that can be done, though at the end of the day, the final decision is going to be at the school district. But absolutely, you can work with your school districts and think about how the funds can be utilized to support infant toddler services as well.
Scott, does that answer your question?
Well, I'm asking so we cover 19 counties. Welcome to America, Southwest Kansas. We cover 19 counties. So we have school districts and special education cooperatives. So would we be wanting to work with the special education cooperatives that would pull those dollars? I'm looking at KKO.
I was going to say Kathy might be better suited to answer that one. I mean, the short answer is yes, but I'm curious what just as a practical matter, if Kathy has any thoughts on that. But the funds do go to the school districts. For when we're talking the ESSER funds, it does go to the school districts. So they are ultimately the ones who each and every superintendent and school board is the one making those individual decisions, though it is possible to collaborate and to do some of that through the interlocals and cooperatives. And certainly at KSD, we are at least trying to encourage that. Yeah.
When I share a little bit about what we're doing, I can kind of go into how we're making it work, Scott.
And for everybody who's listening, as you're staying tuned to the next portion of the presentation, we did not plant that question with Scott, although it does tee up really beautifully the opportunity to hear about how this is playing out in Northwest Kansas. So my piece today is to help bridge and to help make connections, because I know that the pieces of information that Dean covered, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different acronyms, a lot of different pieces that are underway. But I hope that the piece that all of you took away from this is that we do have as in many places, a really clear opportunity this year and for the next several years to use one-time federal relief dollars to be able to address the really significant needs that we know were caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And I hope that all of you are, I know that all of you are very much champions for early childhood. I know that all of you are likely making connections at the local level to help folks understand that the disruptions in early care and education environments and just daily life that we've experienced since the start of the pandemic have really significant impacts on kids at a critical time in their brain development and as they prepare to continue in their educational journey. So there's a couple of resources that I'm going to quickly drop in the chat before turning this over to Kathy KO. Although I will say, if you're looking for just one piece to read as follow-up from this, That yellow report from the U.S. Department of Education that Dean dropped in the chat really is a terrific one to be able to look through and read. I'd also highlight, as you're thinking about just the Kansas context, March of 2021 already feels like a long time ago, but back in March, KSDE released a second iteration of guidance called Navigating Next. It's relatively short and hopefully fairly readable. It is from last March, so as districts were preparing to start the year. And it does specifically call out a couple of places where it highlights opportunities to support young children and their families, particularly as we think about transitions into kindergarten or transitions into formal schooling. So if you're looking for something from Kansas to be able to pair with some of these other resources, that might be a good place to begin. The other piece that I want to highlight from what Dean shared is that right now we know that districts are going to need to prepare for this really intensive, meaningful engagement. In many districts, there's been a significant, in all districts, there's been a significant amount of work since the start of the pandemic and since these federal relief funds started flowing to be able to determine how the funding would be spent. And as Dean shared, there's going to be really important work happening at the local level to be able to meaningfully engage with stakeholders. So if you're a partner and you're not based in a school district, this is a really great time to be understanding in your local community what's the process, what's the decision-making process for these funds, how have funds been spent so far, and what are the plans for engaging stakeholders moving forward. Because I'm sure that districts are going to really appreciate stakeholders who can respond to their requests for engagement and who can really help them as they're working to connect with families and students in specific groups as outlined on the slides that Dean previously shared. So there's a real opportunity for partnership here because we know that we know that in the best of times it can be that asking people to take time out of their day to engage and provide input on a plan can be a big ask. And we know that people have been through a lot in the last in the last months. And so being able to support districts in that process, I'm sure would be well appreciated. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy now to talk about how they approach this in Northwest Kansas. And I am really excited for all of you to hear about that because I think it will spark some really great ideas.
Okay, so just to give you a little bit of a history, we're the Northwest Kansas Educational Service Center, and we cover 12 counties, 19 rural school districts in Northwest Kansas. So we're above where Scott is in that part of the state. And for some time, we have talked about the need to do a better job, a more organized way of dealing with referrals even among ourselves as well as outside agencies. And so our Educational Service Center, we have Part B, Special Ed 3 to 21. We have the Part C program, the Infant Toddler, which is birth to age 3, Early Head Start, Parents as Teachers in some of our school districts, Migrant program. And so even though we're all in the same agency, we even struggle sometimes referring to each other. Then you add into that, we have county health, hospitals, NICUs that are outside of our area, the neonatal units, all of these other partners, DCF, et cetera, where we're all exchanging and working with referrals, and we just didn't have a real formal way to deal with it. And so for some time, I've kind of was talking about that even before I knew about IRIS, which was out of KU, but we were talking about how to do it. And I think perhaps the first time I really heard the name IRIS, Amanda had mentioned, what you need to do is look at IRIS. And I'm like, okay. And then I started talking with our Live Well program, which is based out of Colby, which works with some grants through the Children's Cabinet. And we had been talking about the referral process. And we said, yeah, we want to look into this a little bit further. So we had decided that we wanted to pursue this, but we were always hung up on the fact that we really need to have that data person, and we really need to have that child find facilitator type person that can really organize and manage it. I couldn't do it. I'm the director of special ed, also coordinate the infant toddler program. And so, I mean, I'm spread thin enough and I wouldn't be able to give it justice. And just to put it on some of our teachers, I didn't think was appropriate because their plates are very full. And so we knew that we wanted to look at maybe being able to fund a child find facilitator that would look at both birth to kindergarten is our range. And then a person to deal with data. So Live Well, and we were talking about it, and we could really never come up with how we were going to manage this in terms of funding, but we knew we wanted to do it. And so then the sub-grants came out from the Children's Cabinet, and that gave us a chance to really sit down and write out what we wanted to do. Now we're 12 counties, and we knew that we couldn't just implement this all the way across. We needed to start. And so we decided we'd look at 3 counties. And so we submitted that grant, and we weren't funded. So we were really disappointed and worried about what we could do next. And lo and behold, about the time that I was probably feeling the most upset about it in the spring, we decided we're just going to fund that facilitator position. And we're going to use ESSER's money. I've got a tickle now. And it was going to fit because Randy Watson had talked about shining a bright light on an area of need. And the pandemic showed us that we had a significant need. I have a mint just in case. And so we knew that we weren't getting referrals because of the pandemic, because County Health was really busy and families weren't going in there. Excuse me. We knew that families weren't doing well baby checks. They weren't going to the clinic. And we knew that we had families that had needs. And so the ESSER's money and the need we had fit closely together. So we funded the facilitator position. Then about the same time, I hate it when you do this.
Here, I can hop in for you for just a second, Kathy, if you want to go on mute and cough. So we, thank you. We've got some good, a really great summary that I would recommend that the IRIS team pulled together, and I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat bar. But I really want to highlight that Kathy had pointed out that this was a need. Yes, there had been planning and work underway to get a sense of this, but there was also a really clear connection to a need that was caused by COVID. And as you're thinking about these funds, that's a really important connection to continue making, since these are federal funds. This isn't the pot of money to do the things that we have wanted to do for a long time pot of funding. This is the, all right, we've got some specific needs that were caused by COVID. And I think that Kathy has done a great job of highlighting that piece.
Thank you. So what we did is about the same time that we had decided we're going to fund this position, and I was talking with Live Well, we heard from KU, and they shared that they had some money from another grant and that they wanted to look at Northwest Kansas because they knew we were interested, and that they would help us with the facilitation and the training pieces at no cost through their grant. We were funding the position, and Live Well could help with the data piece. And so it just all worked together. It just matched up perfectly. And so we then decided, okay, we're going to do this IRIS. Now back to what Scott was talking about in terms of the ESSER's money in Part C, the way we began focusing on this early on before ESSER's ever happened is we were doing this discussion as part of our interagency coordinating council, which again, we go from birth to kindergarten. And so we had partners from County Health, Head Start, Early Head Start, Migrant, Infant Toddler, as well as the school district, and myself being the special ed piece, but also some of our district people and our preschool program. So we were talking about how we needed to all work together. And we had the commitment of the entire group that this is something that we wanted to do, so that when the ESSER money opened up and was available, and we knew then that we could tie it back to COVID because of the reduction in referrals we were getting, and the big need out there because so many families were dropping out of programs to do their own thing because they were worried about sending their children to school or even to preschool programs, that this just was all going to work together in a real natural way than to use these funds to focus on something that we needed before, but even needed more so now. And so that's how we got it all started. Now, the piece that we're working on is again, ESSER's money is going to go away at some point. So with the sustainability of it, but we know that if we show that we are improving outcomes and connections for our children and families out here, that everybody's going to continue to buy in and we'll be able to support the whole piece. One of the things that we also worked hard on and had commitments from were our community hospitals, our county healths, our local DCF offices. We're working with our mental health players. We have High Plains Mental Health in our area. And so we're working and talking to all those people all the time about how we're going to make this all work. And then, we just feel like we can keep the ball rolling because we have all of that buy-in. But without that little nudge that the ESSER money had, that made us say, hey, look, we can fund the child find position. I'm just not sure that we would have been able to just totally kick it off. And so that's where, you look at that bright light of where you have a problem that maybe you've had all along, but it's worse because of the pandemic, that you can really take advantage of the federal dollars right now and maybe get something that's really going to get started, and then you can sustain it down the road. The article that Amanda mentioned, I think did you link it? I'm not sure if it's there or not, but anyway, the article KU worked on, and of course they made me sound like I'm just really good, but it was all of our partners that worked together in coming up with what we really needed. But what's amazing is once you start talking about it, people do get it. Part B programs, the school people, even though sometimes they don't understand Part C as well, Scott, they do get that those kids are going to be their kids next. And if we can get in there and provide support and intervention early, we know that reduces needs later on. And so when we work with them and use that language, they're oftentimes willing then to work with looking at a bigger picture. Even though the money for us is a Part B funded position, we do a lot of collaboration. So the incidental benefit of Part C is just right there and not a concern for us and how we have to manage it and report it. And our school districts were totally supportive in that, hey, we know this is special ed money and this goes to everybody's needs for better collaboration, communication, and those positive handoffs among each other. So we feel like it was just a perfect match in the right timing. And although we're just barely into the process, we're hoping to do a soft launch in October already. Any questions? I'll answer whatever you guys might want to ask. I'll do my best. And I can see Scott thinking, so.
I'm seeing sorry, this is Debbie. I'm seeing a question on here. Oh, Dean just answered it for Rich. Can the ESSER be used for capital improvements? And he had said yes. And then there was another question, I believe, and I'm not sure if this name will be right, Sipakti, and she's asking, how can I do that? I apologize, I don't speak too much English. I'm thinking she's asking how to connect to the school district, possibly as a stakeholder.
I'll jump in with the interagency coordinating councils that you have at the local level. All of your infant, toddler, tiny K, Part C, it's all the same program with lots of names. Any of those programs, they have to have a coordinating council that works with all of these different groups, and school districts are very much a part of that in most, if not all, of those councils. So I would start with talking to the tiny K person about getting involved in that local council. And then that way you can start talking. The other way is then, of course, just to contact the superintendent of the school district and the early childhood coordinators if they have that, and ask about, hey, we know you have some ESSER's money. And of course, they're all going to want to keep the money to themselves because they have needs. But then you need to get the bigger conversation going about early childhood and transitions and that type of thing.
And this is a piece, thank you, Kathy. This is a piece that does really vary based on where you are and how large or small your school district is. So if you, I put Jordan Christian's contact information in the chat bar. He can feel welcome to come off mute if you'd like to add anything to this, but he can help get you connected. Oh, there we go. He was on it. He can help get you connected with your local organization. You can tell him, hey, here's where I'm from, and we can help you understand. Here's the opportunities to get connected with your local interagency coordinating council, or help you figure out how to get connected with your school district as well. Dean, I know that the question of can we use ESSER funds or federal funds to construct buildings, there's yes with a big asterisk that comes with that. So do you want to give everybody just a sense of some of what that entails? And I'll go ahead and drop the KSDE webpage back in the chat bar too.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, so this is a question we get a lot. And I'm going to start by saying that there's a reason that school districts in Kansas and throughout the country almost never use federal funds for capital improvements, because it's allowable under many federal funds, but there's good reasons that most don't. And so it is allowable under ESSER to the extent that it does tie back to COVID, whether that is addressing ventilation through improvements to the HVAC system, potentially, even going as so far as additional classroom space and things to allow people to socially distance. I mean, there's a number of ways you could tie it back to COVID, but with all of that, you do then have to jump through all of the hoops that go along with procuring capital improvements with federal funds, and it is many, many, many times more difficult and laborious than probably anything you'd be familiar with any other federal funding. And there are requirements in terms of, I'll give you the super short version, but super short version is that, among other things, you do have to have a environmental impact study needs to be done. You have to get an official analysis from the Kansas Historical Society of how, if at all, the construction will impact anything on the historical register or anything eligible to be on the historical register. There are requirements that you are responsible for the contractors paying their staff at least weekly at wages that are set according to the Davis-Bacon Act, which are above and beyond a typical minimum wage. There are significant requirements. But that said, it is an option. And more information on that can be found on the Kansas Department of Education website thank you. And Amanda actually included the link there. So you can go and find more details there if that is something you're interested in pursuing with your local school district. I will note that what we typically suggest is, rather than going the route of using federal funds for all these things, is working with the school district to identify other costs that you could pay for with the federal funds to free up local dollars to then procure the capital improvements. Good question.
Thank you, Dean. That was certainly a piece that was very eye-opening for me when I first heard about it. And so I am glad that we were able to give folks a sense of what that looks like. We've got a couple minutes before we wrap up. I don't think we missed any questions in the chat bar, but if we did, feel welcome to highlight that for us or to share new ones. And the last piece, I'm a little bit curious. We've got a great group here, and what I like about these webinars is that it both brings together staff who work in schools and school districts, and then folks who work elsewhere in our early childhood system, or all of the places in between, knowing that this really varies based on community. So I'm curious if some of our, if anybody would like to drop in some ideas in the chat bar or some pieces, if you have examples of the way that your school or community has used these COVID relief dollars, or things that you're considering, that might spark some neat brainstorming and ideas as we're cross-pollinating and as we're digesting this information. So you can feel welcome to put those examples of either ideas you have for the future or ways that you are currently spending funds into the chat bar. We will disclaimer that just because it's in the chat bar doesn't mean it's necessarily allowable, and that if you have any questions about specific uses, we'd encourage you to send an email to that esser@ksde.org email address. I might have stolen a little of your thunder there, Dean. Did we have any other pieces before we turn it back over? Or Kathy?
I was just going to share, I started to type it in, but on the PPE, that's where we've used a lot of ESSER's money as well. And thinking about things that, like, we added another vision screener in the fact that we were using the same one over and over again. And we wanted to have one, and then we could disinfect and be more careful about that type of thing. And added some audiology pieces where we could clean it while we're screening and not have to have students wait so much. So there were some things like that in terms of PPE that were real important that we used ESSER's for, especially when it comes to, again, benefiting both our infant toddler and our school age kids in screenings and child find.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing those examples, Kathy. Any other examples that we'd like to share?
I don't have any more examples, and I know we need to save about 5 minutes for wrap up. So, but that does give us a few minutes if there's other questions or things that folks would like to ask.
This is Debbie, and I was just going to jump in and ask Scott if his questions were answered. I think I kind of cut you off a minute ago and wanted to make sure you had been able to make your comments. Okay, good to go.
Dean, would you be able to run through just one more time for us, 2 and 3, the openings and the deadlines, just as a refresher? Those dates.
Yeah. Well, so at this point, all of the ESSER 1, 2, and 3, those funds that I covered at the beginning, all of those have been awarded to the state of Kansas at this time. What remains is for the school districts to actually apply for and receive their awards, which is where the rubber really hits the road. And someone asked this in the chat, but I probably could have been more clear for those of you that don't work in this world. These ESSER funds that almost all of this money that's coming to the state of Kansas for education, almost all of it by law goes out according to a formula to school districts, meaning that KSDE does not have discretion in how much each district gets. And when we say that a district is submitting their plan or their application, it's not a matter of them competing against their neighbor, but rather they are obliged to explain how they're going to use the funds and having that meaningful engagement within their school district. So that act of engaging the public at the local level and formulating the plans, that is in a few cases has already started. We would hope that it starts everywhere, but we know just as a practical matter, schools are, things are getting going with the new school year and everything else with COVID. So it's a little slow getting up and going, but I think most school districts, if they haven't already, should be starting that pretty darn soon. And I would certainly encourage folks to reach out to their local school districts. And it's kind of a running, the districts can submit their applications for ESSER 3 really anytime in the next few months. There's not a hard deadline until we get a year out. We don't think they'll hit that. Something else I do want to flag, and I mentioned this in the chat as well, but there is an explicit requirement in the law for ESSER 3 that does say that the school districts, they do need to make their plans and their information around ESSER 3 available in the languages that are spoken in that district. That's not typical of all federal programs. This one is pretty explicit about that. So there's something to be aware of as well, to make it as easy to access as possible.
And Dean, is there a way to find out how much allocation of funds were given broken down by district or region?
Yes. So, and actually, if you go back to the link that Amanda previously inserted, it's the last link that she actually put in the chat that goes to the pandemic, federal disaster and pandemic relief page. That is where we, among other things, we do post the district level allocations for each of these programs. So you can go and see it there as well. I don't know if all the ESSER 3 funding is up yet. If it's not, it should be here shortly. But yes, you could go and find it there. Good question. All right. I think it's back to you, Debbie. Is that right?
Yes, and thank you so much to the KSDE team, Amanda, Kathy, and Dean, for sharing out a lot of information for, possibly a once in a lifetime opportunity. So hopefully this has helped a lot of you understand that better. Wrapping up, we just want to announce some of the meetings coming up. I had mentioned earlier that the Early Childhood Recommendations Panel meeting is scheduled for next Friday on September 17th. That will be the morning of. And then our next bi-weekly webinar is on Wednesday, September 22nd. And we always welcome ideas and topics that you might be interested in. So you can go to the Children's Cabinet website that's listed here. And you can always share those out with us, including any other feedback that you might have. And then the Children's Cabinet meets, and also the stakeholder group meetings happen on October 1st, the cabinet in the morning and the stakeholder group in the afternoon. And to close things out today, something fun that I've kind of been seeing lately, going around on social media, are some fun conversations that people are having on exactly what season of the year are we in right now. So I guess that depends on you. If you are a summer person, then you're still enjoying all of the summer activities and the hot weather, and you don't want that to end. Or if you are a fall person, you are already unpacking your sweaters and drinking the pumpkin lattes that just came out and looking forward to getting all of your fall decorations out. So I'm definitely a fall person, looking very forward to fall. All of the leaves changing, not raking leaves, but watching the leaves change, and then cooler weather. So as I mentioned, we next meet on September 22nd, which is the official first day of fall. And so whichever of these categories you fit into, we hope that you are going to stay healthy and safe until then. And then we will see you back here in 2 weeks. Thanks for spending your noon hour with us today. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. See you.